American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down like blues on Tuesdays gone down. Throw it all away. Throw it.
You ready for this?
Are you ready for it? Boom, boom, it's a Taylor Swift song.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I know so many Taylor Swift songs now.
I know you do.
Oh my God, I am a Taylor Swift aficionado. You ready?
A Swiftie?
I wouldn't say I'm a Swiftie. I now know a lot more about her. I'm not sure I'm a fan.
I saw a cool video.
I
It
don't
looked like a
hate her.
snake.
Yeah, the snake part was the coolest part.
Yeah, I saw that video of that.
I
That
mean,
was cool.
it was like a music video. Like it was
Yeah.
It was like you were inside a music video the whole time because you had a giant video
Screens.
screen.
It's so awesome.
That's what they all have now. But she put on a show, but I think a lot of the show was lost on the audience. Like the audience members spent the whole time screaming. Out her words.
Yes.
So it's like, did they even enjoy it? Like, did you even know she was there, or did you just spend the time?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if you did a half price ticket and just played her music videos on a giant screen in a stadium. Would those girls just have as much fun?
I don't know. There's something about having the live person there.
Yeah, even though you can't hear a word she's singing.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting, though. I mean,
The experience.
it probably was good. It might have sounded okay, but I don't think I heard her say a word
Oh my God.
because everyone was singing along with it.
Yeah. All right, you ready to start?
Yeah, are you ready to start?
Yes. Welcome to another episode of
American
American Timelines.
Timelines.
I'm Amy, and that's Joe.
And we're History for Jerks.
And
And we have sweaty balls.
I have something to confess to you.
Uh-oh. A confession?
Yes.
Yeah, are we waiting for us to record to tell me you're cheating on me?
No, not that.
Oh.
I nominated you for something.
You nominated me where?
You got to guess.
Let's see. World's best looking
No, that's not an award.
People magazine's most beautiful people.
No. It's a program.
Sexiest man.
It's a show.
Oh no. Queer Eye for
Yes.
Sick. You did not.
I did.
Why would you do that?
Because that would be great. You could become a made over.
Isn't it for guys who like have like all kinds of problems and awful poverty and
We do have awful poverty.
really?
It's not going to happen anyway, but I just thought I'd tell you. Anyway,
Okay.
so today we are going to talk about...
What did you put in your description to nominate me? Like, this guy needs help because...
I said
See, I
that you
always
keep
wear
getting
t-shirts.
passed over on promotions at work, and you need some polish. You could use polish.
You
is
think
what
you
I
think
said.
I get passed over because I don't dress nice?
That's not... I don't think that's why, but I think that it's always better to look more polished.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
Being polished is overrated, though. But it's not real. Like, they'll get you all set up, and then you get a promotion, then I go back to being me, and they're going to be like, hey, why did we give you a promotion, idiot?
Oh, well. Anyway,
Yeah.
today we're going to talk about 1959.
Yes, February. We're in February now. We finished January and, like, the beginning of the year stuff. And
That's
we're
right.
going to jump into February, where we're going to talk a little bit about... Amy's got a little bit about the day the music died.
That's correct.
And then I'm going to tell you about just some other things. I think I have an interesting thing that blew my mind.
Okay.
So I think if I can tell it right, maybe it'll blow your mind.
Sweet.
About a world record, an air flight world record that I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
In 1959. That's crazy.
All right. I'm going to tell you about the early morning hours of February 3rd, 1959.
Okay, well, before we get to February 3rd, let me tell you about February 2nd.
Oh, okay.
Because February 2nd, 1959 was a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And 35 test pilots from the U.S. Navy, Marine Corps, and Air Force attended a briefing at the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, where NASA representatives invited them to become candidates for the first group of American astronauts. They were picking the first ever astronauts. And that same day, schools in Norfolk and Arlington County, Virginia, integrated peacefully. We've been talking about all the trouble with integration.
Yeah.
They finally integrated peacefully as 21 African-American students began classes at formerly all-white schools. At Stratford Middle School, with 1,076 white and 4 black pupils in Arlington, there were fewer absences than usual despite threats of a boycott, and white students volunteered to escort the new students to class. In Norfolk, 7,000 of 10,000 students, including 17 African Americans, returned to senior and junior highs after 4 months of attending private schools or being tutored because they closed the schools and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and there was no issues, The battle had raged for a solid week before that under the state capitol dome, and the segregationists tried every legislative trick they could and denounced integration as an evil, a cancer, and a sickness in the heart. But when the votes were counted and the oratorical flames extinguished, massive resistance to school integration had been narrowly defeated, and 17 black children in Norfolk and 4 in Arlington walked peacefully into public schools.
Those poor kids.
Isn't it awful? Yeah, I mean,
Just to feel so unwanted.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
It is. It's awful.
And, when they interviewed some of the state officials who were vehemently against it, they finally said, "We've moved on to higher ground," said former Governor Mills E. Goodwin, one of the legislators who was very vocally opposed to integration.
Higher ground. He's probably talking about like redlining or
Well,
something.
then they started doing other tactics.
Right.
That's the thing. It's like how much Virginia was truly integrated is really debatable, according to state and other leaders. Most agree that no state has attained the original goals of integration. It's not true integration. According to an article I read by Tom Sherwood, Race Relations in Virginia, No Desegregation of the Heart Yet. There was a quote from Dr. Jesse Bates that said, "A lot of things have changed here. But as far as visiting on Sundays and going to church together, that's not happened. And desegregation, you have to desegregate the heart, and that hasn't happened yet."
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. And that brings us to, I guess, February 3rd.
Yes.
What happened on February 3rd?
The music died that day.
Why did the music die?
So, just minutes after taking off on a chartered flight from Mason City, Iowa, on the way to their next show in Moorhead, Minnesota, rising American rock and roll artists Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson, along with the pilot Roger Peterson, were killed when their plane crashed in Iowa. So this
Was there foul play?
No, I don't think so. So this whole thing was like a giant concert, and it had like Waylon Jennings. Oops, hold on, let me turn off my. So it kicked off on January 23rd, and
this tour you're
this
talking
tour
about.
did.
Okay, gotcha.
And it had Waylon Jennings and Tommy Alsop, whoever the fuck that is. And,
Waylon Jennings sang the Dukes of Hazzard theme song.
Correct. And it was supposed to be a 24-day tour across the Midwest.
Okay.
And it's going to end Springfield, Illinois, February 15th.
Oh.
Then on February 3rd, Bobby V and the Shadows performed, and Fabian and Frankie Avalon and Jimmy Clanton were added as headliners for the tour. Dion and the Belmonts, Sardo, and the Crickets also continued through the end of the tour, which concluded on February 15th as planned.
Sardo and the Crickets. I've never heard of them.
Yeah, me neither. So there was really bad weather that day at night. It was torrential, they said. And they had crammed them all into buses, and they were going from city to city in the Midwest.
City to city, I'm a running my
And
line.
it was so miserable that Buddy Holly's drummer, Carl Bunch, suffered frostbite on his feet.
Really?
Because he played a show on the 11th date of the tour at the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, Iowa. And then Holly chartered a Beechcraft Bonanza airplane from Dwyer's Flying Service after their bus was having mechanical issues for him and several of the other artists to make their way to the next show. By this point, everyone's health was waning from the traveling schedule and drafty buses.
Okay, the buses were cold. That's why
Yes,
they had frostbite.
that's right. With the toss of a coin, Tommy Alsop lost his seat to Valens. So Richie Valens wasn't at first going to go on the plane.
Oh, he wasn't?
But they tossed a coin. So what kind of coin toss
To
that
figure
must
out
have
who
been?
got to take the flight?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And Tommy Alsop lost.
So
Richie
he
Valens,
lost, but he won his
but
life.
he won. That's right.
Yikes.
And at the very last minute, Waylon Jennings gave his seat to the Big Bopper, who was suffering from the flu at the time and tired of squeezing into the drafty bus.
Oh, so he's like, he better get better. And
Yes.
so Waylon Jennings, if he hadn't been the nice guy,
He would be dead.
he'd be dead. And Dukes of Hazzard would never have happened.
So that might be a good thing. So anyway,
Whoa!
the plane was to land in Fargo, North Dakota, just minutes away from Moorhead, Minnesota, where they were scheduled to play at the Armory on February 3rd.
Okay.
A few minutes after taking off from Mason City Municipal Airport, it crashed into nearby farmland as a result of bad weather and the pilot's inexperience.
Oh. was it
Waylon
dumbass?
Jennings later said, "For years, I thought I caused the crash. Somebody had taken my place on that airplane, and then I had told Buddy, I hope your plane crashes. We caught up like that all the time."
Oh, joking around? He
Yeah,
said
he
that
said
to
that
him?
to him, yeah.
Waylon Jennings said that to
Yep.
him? Oh, man.
So
Eesh.
this is a little bit of background about each one of the guys that died. The Big Bopper was born Giles Perry Richardson Jr.
Oh.
October 24th, 1930 in Sabine Pass, Texas.
Oh.
He started out as a DJ in his home state of Texas.
Okay.
He was offered a full-time gig by KTRM, now KZZB,
KZZB.
in Beaumont in 1949. He quit college and after a brief stint in the military, returned to the radio station and became its program director.
Okay.
He soon created his own on-air persona, the Big Bopper,
The
after
Big
seeing
Bopper.
some kids dancing the bop.
I'm the Big Bopper, everybody.
At one point, Richardson broke the record for continuous on-air broadcasting after playing 1,821 records over the course of 5 days, 2
Yikes.
hours, and 8 minutes, taking quick showers in between news broadcasts.
Ha. 5 days, so he took a shower right there at the radio
guess
station
so,
or
yeah.
something?
So he started as a songwriter, began performing his own music, and at the time of his death, at 28, was already well known for his hits Chantilly Lace, you know that one?
Chantilly lace
And
with
a pretty face and
Oh, something
ponytail.
else.
Yep.
But I do.
That was number 6.
That was Big Bopper, huh?
And White Lightning, he sang that one.
White Lightning. I
And
just made that up. I have no idea how that goes.
that became a number 1 hit for George Jones.
Anytime
later
I
on.
see a white guy running, I call him White Lightning.
So then there was Richie Valens, who was born Richard Valenzuela on May 13th, 1941, in the Los Angeles suburb of Pacoima, California.
Now, he was played by the
What's
guy.
that guy's name?
Yeah, Lou Gossett Jr.
No.
Lou Diamond Phillips.
That's right.
Yes,
Yep. La Bamba.
in La Bamba.
That's right.
So Richie Valens was part of
Yep.
Los Lobos.
No.
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 Oh, La Bamba's about
Los
this.
Lobos covered La Bamba, which
That's
was
right.
a Richie
La
Valens
Bamba.
hit.
It was a Richie Valens hit.
Yes.
And
Can I tell it?
sorry,
All
Richie Valens. Sorry. Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. He was only 17 when he died, but already had 3 hits under his belt. Donna.
He was only 17.
Yep. Come On, Let's Go, and La
La
Bamba.
Bamba, la, la, la,
He
la,
didn't barely speak any Spanish, but he did become a pioneer of Chicano and Latin rock.
Oh,
In 1987, his life was portrayed in the movie La Bamba, starring Lou Diamond Phillips.
oh, right.
It also became a number 1 hit for Los Lobos, who recorded the song for the film soundtrack.
Oh, that was for the film. That's why I was getting confused. But Richie Valens, like that film is it about this plane crash and
Yes,
everything?
it's about
Oh.
him.
Did you ever see it?
Yeah.
Did you
Oh,
love
yeah.
it?
You never saw it?
I don't think so.
That was a big hit. All right.
I'd like to go against the grain back then.
So in 2019, his Valens version of La Bamba was selected by the U.S. Library of Congress for preservation in the National Record Registry.
That's nice.
And in 2001, Valens, who influenced everyone from Jimi Hendrix to Carlos Santana, was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Carlos Santana.
And then there's Buddy Holly. He was born Charles Hardin Holly in Lubbock, Texas on September 7th, 1936. He was only 22 when he died.
Oh, sheesh.
He started out singing country music with friends in high school before switching to rock and roll.
Oh.
He formed the group Buddy and Bob with his friend Bob Montgomery and
never
decided
hear
to
about that.
pursue music after opening for Elvis Presley in 1955.
Yeah, I guess that would get you.
After opening for Bill Haley and his Comets, Holly and his band were signed to Decca and released their debut album, and the only album released in Holly's lifetime, The Chirping Crickets, in 1957. By the mid-50s, Holly and the band were touring internationally and had a regular radio show.
What was Buddy Holly's big song?
I'll
You're
get there.
to that. Okay, sorry.
Influencing everyone from Paul McCartney to Bob Dylan, Holly wrote all his own songs, many released after his death, including 1957 number 1 hit That'll Be the Day.
That'll be the day
When you
that
say
I-
goodbye.
That'll be the day.
Co-written with the Crickets drummer Jerry Allison, who also co-wrote their hit Peggy Sue.
Oh, Peggy Sue's Buddy Holly song?
And other top 40 hits like Maybe Baby, co-written with producer Norman Petty. Holly was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1986. The day Holly Valance Richardson died was immortalized by Don McLean in his 1972 anthem American Pie as the day the music died. And, the lyrics, the specific lyrics, he says, "But February made me shiver with every piper I delivered. Bad news on the doorstep. I couldn't take one more step. I can't remember if I cried when I read about his widowed bride. But something touched me deep inside the day the music died."
Bye, bye, Miss American Pie. That's what that's about?
That's those words, yeah.
The whole thing's about that?
It's
or
supposed
just
to be,
that part? Oh, I had no idea.
Yep.
All I knew is they sang that in college in the theater department. They did a dance every semester, and you got to say you played that song. You said goodbye to everybody who's graduating and leaving, and everybody would cry and dance with the seniors and say goodbye to them, and sometimes get jiggy with it on the floor with them. And because a lot of people having sex
under
in
the
theater
bleachers
department.
too. If you know what
People
I'm
doing
saying.
it in the theater department. You do it with everybody.
What's next?
That's it.
That's
the whole thing?
That was it.
So, Buddy Holly, the only thing I ever knew about him is just like from, I think, like Pulp Fiction. He was, at that 50s restaurant where the guy with the big glasses. Like, oh, there's Buddy Holly. And I didn't really know much about him until Weezer came out with that Buddy Holly song.
Oh.
But I do know those songs. So,
isn't that just a song about somebody who looks like Buddy Holly?
Ooh, you, I look just like Buddy Holly.
So it's not really a Buddy Holly song.
I guess so, yeah. Well, they all look like, Weezer looks like a bunch of nerds with thick glasses, I guess. So, and then Richie Valens. So now I want to watch La Bamba. Do you want to watch it together? And I can ask you questions all through it and annoy the hell out of you.
No, I don't want to do
it?
that. In fact,
we could spoon while we do it. I'm the little spoon. All right, February 3rd, that's that same day that the music died.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about this flight. It sucks to be the people on American Airlines Flight 320 that were also in a plane crash because Buddy Holly's crash was the same day.
Oh, yeah.
There was a crash from Chicago and a crash in the East River while trying to land at LaGuardia, killing 65 of the 73 people on board. Again, that's like 8 people survived
through
a
it.
plane
I know.
crash.
I always think of
like,
that.
imagine, like, wouldn't you rather just die, like, to survive a plane crash, all the people around you?
Yes.
Anyway, February 5th. I don't have a lot of things, but I have one really interesting thing I can't wait to get to. So,
okay.
We're just going to delve a little bit into February and March. February 5th, 1959, the U.S. State Department released tapes that showed that Soviet jets had shot down an unarmed American transport plane back in 1958.
Oh.
Transmissions between the two fighter planes, identified as 201 and 218, had been intercepted in Turkey. The Soviets denounced the tapes as a clumsy fake. And on the same day, Soviet Premier Nikita S. Khrushchev invited U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower to visit Moscow, adding that he could bring anyone and go anywhere he chose. In his speech, Khrushchev referred to the Secretary of State and said, "Mr. Dulles, if you so desire, then for the sake of enduring the Cold War, we are even prepared to admit your victory in this war and that your victory in this war that is unwanted by the peoples. Regard yourselves, gentlemen, as victors in this war, but end it quickly." Trying to end the Cold War there. And that's the same day that the title E-1 for U.S. Air Force personnel was revised from Basic Airman to Airman Basic.
Okay.
Did you ever know that?
No, I don't really
Do
care.
you know what that is?
No.
Or what that means?
I don't know why you're bringing it up.
Okay, here's the big thing.
All right.
February 7th, 1959 was a Saturday. And after spending a record 64 days, think about this, 64 days, 22 hours, and 21 minutes aloft in the air, it covered 150,000 miles and 240,000 kilometers. That's 6 times around the Earth or 15 Sydney to New York flights without touching the ground. Still stands as a world record according to the Guinness World Records. 2 flyers landed their Cessna 172 in Vegas. So these guys broke a world record for the longest flight. One flight was 64 days long.
How did they not run out of gas?
Here, I'm going to get to it. This is
All
what's
right.
amazing to me. So pilot John Cook and businessman Bob Tim had taken off on December 4th, 1958. And on January 23rd, they had broken the previous record, was 50 days aloft in the air. And so these guys were fueled twice each day at Blythe, California, from a truck that would drive 90 miles an hour
Oh my God.
beneath the plane and refuel it.
Oh,
like,
Jesus.
On a closed highway in the
That's
desert.
a lot of effort. What's the purpose of all this?
Well, here's why they did it.
Okay.
It was a flying billboard for the Hacienda Hotel. They were doing it as like a publicity stunt.
Oh, God.
So, in 1956, an entrepreneur wanted to promote his Las Vegas hotel, and his slot machine mechanic, Robert Tim, who was a World War II bomber pilot, had an idea. He convinced the owner to fund an attempt to break the manned flight endurance record, with Hacienda Hotel featured prominently on the aircraft. And Tim found a Cessna 172 and found a trusted mechanic and spent a year modifying it for the record attempt. Like previous attempts, they installed a belly tank
Yeah.
to supplement the 47 gallons carried in the wings so that you could hold more gas and lean so you wouldn't have to do it as much. So it was a 95-gallon belly tank and it had an electric pump to transfer fuel to the main tank.
Right.
And they also replumbed the oil lines so that they could change oil and filters without shutting down the engine. So they would give the plane oil changes while
Oh,
it
my
was running.
God.
Nuts, right?
Yeah.
In 1959, it blows my mind because in 1959, it seems like planes were crashing all the time anyway. They could barely even fly,
Right.
much less fly for
Yeah.
this many days. So after 3 failed attempts, Tim found a new co-pilot and a mechanic, John Wayne Cook, and ultimately they took off on December 4th, 1958 at 15:52 hours, which is 3:52. I'm terrible at that.
Oh, I know. Me
Aren't you
too.
terrible at that?
Yes.
Remember we had to do that in Scotland?
3. It's 3.
Yeah, we were terrible at that. They made a low pass on the airfield to allow a chase car to paint white stripes on the aircraft's tires to ensure they didn't make any secret landings.
Oh.
They spent most of their time flying over the desert around Las Vegas, sometimes diverting to L.A. for TV promotional opportunities. And
It's
now,
just like driving around, flying around in a circle.
yeah, basically for 65 days. Can you believe it? Now for the really ingenious method of refueling.
Where did
So-
they go to the bathroom?
Well, they threw their feces and pee
Ew.
out in the desert. They just
in the
pooped in
desert.
buckets and just dumped it out in the desert. So that desert was filled with 65 days worth of shit and piss.
Well,
Think of
that'll
the
be
people
fun.
that-
I
that-
thut they were over a metropolitan area.
No, they were just out in the desert. There wasn't even there was nothing out
Oh.
there then around that area. So, but imagine if you were like a scorpion or something, you covered in that guy's shit. Now the really ingenious method was of refueling. Twice daily, a truck fitted with a fuel tank and a pump would rendezvous with the aircraft over a straight stretch of closed highway.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cessna would fly roughly 20 feet off the ground and use an electronic winch to lower a hook and snag the refueling hose. Tim or Cook would stand on a platform outside the door and insert the
Jeez.
hose into the belly tank, taking about 3 minutes to fill.
They do that twice a day.
Yeah, 3 minutes with a truck going 90 miles an hour.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine that?
No.
Over the course of the flight, they refueled 128 times, and the Hacienda Hotel, because that was what they're trying to plug
Yes.
here, would prepare gourmet meals, and the food had to be chopped up and stuffed into thermos jugs to get them to the pilots while they're refueling.
Oh my God.
39 days in, though, the generator failed, so they had no lights,
Oh.
no heat, and no fuel pump.
Oh God.
And so they had to pump it by hand. They had a hand pump to transfer the fuel after that. And soon after that, they had to refuel in the dark because they had no lights
Oh my goodness.
on the plane. They passed the existing record of 50 days and then decided to keep flying for as long as possible to extend the record. By the beginning of February, the spark plugs and combustion chambers were loaded with carbon, making it difficult to climb with a full load after refueling. They decided finally to land on February 7th, 1959, but before they could touch down, the paint on the tires was checked, and no scuff marks were found, so they know that they didn't actually cheat and land.
Wow.
Tim and Cook had to be lifted out of the Cessna because at this time they were so exhausted they couldn't even walk on their own, and their record still stands today.
Yeah, they had to sit that whole time?
Well, they had a mattress. They had upfitted. They put a mattress in there. They'd take turns. One guy would fly for 4 hours while the other guy slept. And they put a sink in there, too, so they could shave and wash up.
Oh my God.
And then they would, take a turn. 4 hours. You sleep. 4 hours, you fly. 4 hours, you sleep. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Ugh.
Robert Tim died in 1976, and John Cook lived till 1995. both in Las Vegas, and the Hacienda Hotel was demolished in December of 1996. I got all this from the aerolifeaviation.com, the Mirror, and simpleflying.com. So how about that?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Right? I can't believe that happened.
I know.
And then we'll just breeze through the rest. February 10th, a tornado in St. Louis killed 21 people and injured hundreds. Did you know about that?
No.
It flattened a neighborhood 2 blocks from Busch Stadium. You know where that is?
It could be. I know. I don't know where that is. That's downtown.
You didn't know where Busch Stadium was?
Well, it's downtown.
Did you ever go to Old Busch Stadium?
Yeah.
You did? You watch games?
We went on field trips. We did different things.
You're from the STL. You're just like Nelly, basically.
Basically.
And then February 11th was a Wednesday. After 5 seasons of being known as the Cincinnati Redlegs, baseball's Cincinnati Reds reverted to their former name, the Cincinnati Reds, as evidenced by the release of their 1959 Spring Training Media Guide to the nation's sports writers. So they had originally changed it from the Reds to the Red Legs because they didn't want people to think they were communists.
Oh.
But by this time, 1959, they thought, we can be the Red Legs again.
The Reds, you mean?
I mean, the Reds again, yeah, sorry. I never knew they were the Red Legs or why they were the Reds, but now we know. And knowing is half the battle. True. February 12th was a Thursday. And the reverse side of the phased-out wheat penny. Sorry. February 12th, 1959 was a Thursday. This is a caption of a picture. The new version of the Lincoln cent was introduced on Abraham Lincoln's 150th birthday. Mm-hmm. While the portrait of Lincoln was unchanged, the tail side had the Lincoln Memorial instead of the wheat penny. Remember wheat pennies? Yeah. And then Saturday, February 14th, the U.S. Weather Bureau released a report that concluded that the world is in the midst of a long-term warming trend. Based on data gathered in Antarctica, Dr. Helmut Landsberg, director of the Bureau's Office of Climatology, said that the cause of the global warming was unknown, but added that there's one theory is that the change is man-made, that a blanket of carbon dioxide given off by the burning of coal and oil is slowing the radiation of heat by the earth. Okay. So they already figured out global warming back in 1959. And then February 15th, 1959 was a Sunday, and police in New York concluded what was at the time the second largest drug bust in American history. They arrested 27 people between 8:30 Saturday night and 5 Sunday morning, seizing 32 pounds of heroin with a street value of $3 million+. Ooh. A January 1958 roundup in Elmont, New York had netted 35 pounds and 17 arrests. That same day, 9 people were killed in a single car when their vehicle was hit head-on by another vehicle on U.S. Highway 281 south of Alamo, Texas. The driver of the other vehicle, whose speedometer was frozen at 80 miles an hour, also died.
Ooh, that would suck.
That would suck to die in a head-on collision. Thursday, February 9th, 1959, Debbie Reynolds was granted a divorce from Eddie Fisher.
So he could marry Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah. She was quoted as saying, "My husband became interested in another woman," and she testified that in a Los Angeles hearing, but reports that she never mentioned the name Elizabeth Taylor.
You hear Republicans are trying to get rid of no-fault divorce?
What's no-fault divorce?
That you can get divorced without saying there was infidelity or somebody did something wrong. It just means you just fell out of love or whatever. You just don't love each other anymore.
There always has to be a reason for divorce?
Before no-fault divorce, women couldn't escape their abusive husbands a lot of times because they didn't have...
Is abuse count as a fault, though?
I don't know. I just know...
That's nuts.
Getting rid of it's a bad thing.
Yeah, religion is out of control. February 21, 1959, The Ben Hecht Show, a live television program on New York's WABC TV, was canceled permanently after Hecht's guest, surrealist painter Salvador Dali, used the word...
That guy was a loose cannon.
You want to guess what word he used to get that show canceled? In an interview.
Heck.
Nope, the word orgasm.
Oh, funny.
Ben Hecht was a screenwriter who Mike Wallace described as a trifle profane when he's on the air, had already been in trouble with the station. And Wallace would later describe the episode as the Orgasm and Out Show.
Huh.
And then February 22nd, it was reported that the U.S. might put a man into space as early as February 26th, 1959. with Scott Crossfield, a test pilot for North American Aviation, flying the X-15 to a point of 200 miles above the Earth, well above the 100 kilometers altitude that defines the beginning of outer space.
Oh.
So there's working on figuring out trying to put somebody in space.
Yeah.
February 27th was a Friday, and the wreckage of the American B-24 bomber Lady Be Good was found nearly 16 years after the plane had crashed in the Libyan desert. The Lady Be Good and its crew of 9 had become lost on April 4th, 1943, while returning from a bombing raid during World War II, and then had a ditch in the desert sands.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, the men had died of thirst and exposure within a few days, and the bodies would be located a year later on February 11th, 1960. So for almost 20 years, nobody found their bodies. Or anything.
Man.
But the discovery of Lady Be Good would inspire Rod Serling to write King 9 Will Not Return, the first episode of the second season of The Twilight Zone.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then that brings us to March of 1959. And let's see what we got here. We've got just a couple things. According to the Tifton Gazette in Tifton, Georgia, 9 children ranging in the age from 5 to 15 drowned after a loaded school bus ran off a road into a farm pond.
Oh, no.
Survivors of the accident said they remembered the packed bus hitting a bump or pothole in the unpaved road, then swaying. It just sort of swirled, Joan Howard said. The bus was so crowded, there were children standing in the doorway. The older kids would sit in the seats and hold the younger ones on their laps. There were people standing in front of the people in the seats because the aisles were so crowded there was no more room. And there were only a few buses that transported black children to their schools then, and students of all ages rode each bus. 86 people were on board at this bus as it landed on its right side, trapping the students inside.
Oh, no.
In the water. Howard, then 14, recalled feeling strangely calm as water filled the bus. It's all sort of a fog, she said. I never was afraid. I thought, well, I'm going to see how it feels to be drowned. And then I saw Oscar Holt on top of the bus pulling people out. We'd been dating, and I knew he'd get me out if he saw me. And I realized I wasn't ready to die. Holt, 15, and 17-year-old James Collins managed to open 2 windows and crawl onto the side of the overturned bus. From there, they were able to pull several of their fellow students to safety.
Oh.
Yeah. It was a dreary and overcast day, Leona Mott, a former Tift County Board of Education member, said. By the time we got there, they were laying the bodies out beside the pond. It was gruesome. That was something that took me a long time to get over. That's the same day that Lou Costello died. He was 52.
Okay.
March 9th was a Monday, and the Barbie doll made its debut at the American International Toy Fair in New York.
I like that.
And did you know this? That Ruth Handler named a doll,
Barbie Millicent Roberts.
named it after her daughter.
Yep.
Did you know that Ken was named after her son?
Yes, I did.
Isn't that a little creepy that Barbie and Ken are supposed to be banging each other? And it's a brother and sister?
Yeah, I guess.
Barbie and Ken are brother and sister, but also sexually active.
Why not?
What?
Just kidding.
It's incest.
I know you're right.
Incest is not best, Amy.
No, that's true.
Anyone listening, if you are into incest, it's not a good idea.
No.
This was a PSA from American Timelines by History for Jerks. Wednesday, March 11th, A Raisin in the Sun. Oh,
I love that show.
By African-American playwright Lorraine Hansberry and starring Sidney Poitier and Claudia McNeil made its Broadway debut at the Ethel Barrymore Theater. The play ran for 538 performances. I walked our daughter past Ethel Barrymore Theater 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
March 12th, 1959 was a Thursday. And by a margin of 323 to 89, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to allow Hawaii to become the 50th state, contingent upon passage by Hawaii voters.
That's right.
And that pissed off the flag-making industry because they were just working on the 49 star flag.
And then they're like, I have to go and do that.
God damn it, fuckers. Like, let us know if there's any more. March 15th, 1959 was a Sunday, and Robert Foster, who was 32 years old, set a record for holding his breath, remaining underwater for 13 minutes.
What?
42.5 seconds.
Brain damage after that long.
At San Rafael, California.
I guarantee he had some brain damage.
That record stood for 48 years. Well, you know what they did to get ready for that? They would hyperventilate on purpose.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah, that record stood for 48 years until 2007. Somebody in Lithuania broke it for almost 16 minutes.
Oh my God. That is brain damage.
So both people that broke this record would hyperventilate with pure oxygen beforehand in order to drive carbon dioxide from their lungs.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine trying to do
No.
that? Ugh. But there is a recognized record without the hyperventilation ahead of time, and that's 11 minutes 35 seconds.
Oh my God.
By freediver Stephanie Mifsud on June 8th, 2009. And that's the same day that Duncan Hines died.
Oh.
You know who Duncan Hines was? Why they named the cakes and whatever after him?
No.
He was a restaurant critic
Oh, really?
who let them use his name for cake mixes. And he was also, a little known fact, Duncan Hines was a son of a Confederate soldier.
Oh.
Boom. Little info. And I don't know if you've noticed, but this episode, we're getting to the end of this, and we haven't even had one single birthday.
Oh, that's true.
And that's about to change. But this one's a good one.
All right.
Because on Monday, March 16th, 1959, the world was graced with a birthday. Hit it, Matt Truman, Ego Trip.
Amy hates birthdays. Amy hates birthdays.
Why do you hate birthdays?
I don't hate birthdays.
American rapper in Roosevelt, New York, William Jonathan Drayton Jr. was born. You want to guess what famous rapper this is? Born in 1959 named William Jonathan
Dr.
Drayton.
Dre?
Nope. He was born in Roosevelt, New York, grew up in nearby Freeport.
Busta Rhymes?
He grew up in two communities within the town of Hempstead. He's the cousin of former Penn State basketball player Shep Garner. And he's also a cousin of Brooklyn MC Timbo King of Royal Fam, also the cousin of rappers Old Dirty Bastard, RZA, and Jizza of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Wyclef? I don't know. What? Who?
That's okay. He taught himself piano, began playing at the age of 5. He sang in the youth choir at his church and mastered the piano, drums, and guitar at an early age, which blows me away when you find out who this guy is, that he's a master of these instruments, because I thought he could only do one thing, tell time. According to Chuck D.
Flavor Flav?
Yeah, Flavor Flav.
Oh.
He's proficient in 15 instruments.
Wow.
By the time he dropped out of Freeport High School, home of the Red Devils, notable alumni include
Stop.
Lou Reed and DeBrickashaw Ferguson. In the 11th grade, he dropped out. He'd been in and out of jail for robbery and burglary. He attended culinary school in 1978, but later he attended Adelphi University on Long Island, home of the Panthers, where he met a man named Carlton Riddenhauer. You know who that is?
No.
Chuck D.
Oh.
His name is Carlton Riddenhauer.
Huh.
Carlton Riddenhauer and William Jonathan Drayton Jr. are public enemy. Anyway, they first collabed on Chuck D's hip-hop college radio show and then began rapping together. So there you go. And Flavor Flav was originally his graffiti tag. That's where he got that name.
Oh, okay.
I know way more about Flavor Flav and Chuck D than I ever have, and I kick myself for not knowing this earlier. Why didn't I know this?
Well,
Why didn't I know these things?
don't be so hard on yourself.
I love Flavor Flav and Chuck D.
All right. Can we move on?
Peace. How low can you go? February 20th, want more records? I know what you wanted is more records.
No.
Less birthdays and more records being broken, right? In Modesto, California, the record for phone booth stuffing was broken as 32 slightly built students at Modesto Junior College packed themselves in a regulation-sized booth.
No way.
You know how big a phone booth is, regulation size?
No.
7 feet tall
Very
and
tiny.
32 inches square. 32 inches.
How can
And
that
32
be?
people got in there.
No.
But for safety reasons, the way they did is they put the booth on its side,
Oh.
and the telephone had been removed. So the telephone's not in there.
Still.
Earlier in that same month, 25 students in South Africa had broken that record, so they couldn't let South Africa have that.
Of course not.
And that's also the same day that we have another birthday. Wrestler Steve Borden, pro wrestler born in Omaha, Nebraska, raised in Southern California. He played football and basketball in high school and later embarked on a career in bodybuilding, once co-owning a Gold's Gym Health Club. He had no interest in pro wrestling and no television access to it with his home community, but decided to pursue a career in the industry after being taken to an incredible WWF event in L.A. featuring Hulk Hogan, the Iron Sheik, and the British Bulldogs, Andre the Giant, and others. This is Sting, the wrestler known as Sting, which is a lot of people love Sting,
Okay.
yourself included.
I don't give a fuck.
Whoa! All right, almost done here. Thursday, March 26, 1959, international radio communications were blocked out for 11 hours Beginning at 5 p.m. Pacific time, it was believed that an eruption on the sun disrupted radio transmissions.
Oh.
Although such disturbances normally last only 30 minutes, this lasted 11 hours. And I bring this up because, I don't know if you've heard the rumors, that there's going to be another sun spot that's going to disrupt all of the internet. Will be
you're
out.
kidding.
They're saying they're predicting it going to be out for days.
Oh, no.
All over the world. Like there will be no
no.
internet, there will be no communications, there will be no cell phone
People
signal.
will flip.
I think they're saying this fall it's supposed to happen.
Oh,
Allegedly.
shit.
We'll see. Can you imagine not having internet? Okay, that same day on March 26th, a circus lion terrorized a crowd at New York City's Madison Square Garden after escaping a cage, ran around the arena, and then jumped on a rail, walking into the main lobby of the garden. Ponto, the 800-pound star of the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, the big cat act was captured 15 minutes later after wandering into a blocked corridor.
Oh.
And then on March 30th, I kept this in here because I want you to explain this to me, because you've explained, this gets with court and murders and stuff. March 30th, 1959 was a Monday. In two decisions, Bartkus versus Illinois and Abate versus U.S. 359, U.S. 187, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that a person could be charged with the same crime in both state and federal court proceedings without violating the double jeopardy clause of the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah. So
now double jeopardy doesn't exist anymore? Like
no, that just means, I think, that just means that if you did, let's say you did a murder and a kidnapping and you cross state lines.
Okay.
Well, that becomes a federal crime.
Okay.
Because you cross state lines.
So I can only go to court for it once.
So, no. So that just means that the state where you murdered the person and can take you to trial for that, and the federal government can take you to
Also
trial
take you.
for the kidnapping.
So both can. Before you could only be charged for one?
I don't know. That's just what I think it means.
Oh, okay. Well, you're a legal expert, so.
No, I'm not.
You're an expert by
Definitely not.
doing a podcast and reading about murder, like seeing murders and get all excited.
Stop
and
it.
Horny when
No,
you see
that is not
people
true.
get murdered. March 31st, 1959, we're going to end on this, was a Tuesday. Action Comics number 252 reached newsstands, and in a story entitled The Supergirl from Krypton, it introduced Supergirl to the world. So Women's Lib is now complete. Because March 31st, 1959, Supergirl exists, and women no longer have any thing to complain about. It's all equal.
Everybody's equal.
The Supergirl came out.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening, Abe. What are we going to do? What's the next episode going to be? April and May?
Yeah, I guess so.
You got any murders ready?
I'll have to figure it out,
Any
babe.
previews?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Are you going to?
There is a good one this year.
Have you thought about time traveling back to 1959 just to commit a murder so we have something to talk about?
That's a thought.
You know,
If
go
I
the
could
extra
time travel,
mile.
there's a lot of other things I would do before that.
You wouldn't go the extra mile to make our podcast better?
No.
Jeez, you're not dedicated.
I'd go like bet on the horses or something.
Whoa, that's cheating. That is unethical. But, folks, thanks for listening.
Thank you, folks.
I think it's time.
Get out of here, Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry, get out of here. Stop taking pictures of me in the bathroom. Stop looking at my wiener. Thanks for listening, everyone. We love you. And if you're still listening, man, you're cool.
I can't wait for Friday night, so I can go out on the weekend and ruin my life. I'm on my drink and drive and crash my car. I'll tell the policeman that I'm a star. Yeah, 'cause you and me, we're birds of a feather, yeah. We only like the bands who worship the devil, yeah. You like to drink the blood of the goat, now baby I can tell. So take my hand, let me lead you down the hell, yeah.
Matt Truman Ego Trip is the greatest band of all time. Buy their music.